Hello, sister, and welcome back to the Fabienne Show. Before we dive into today's episode, I have a question for you. What if the next big opportunity in your business didn't come from a funnel or a launch, but from a single rich relationship? That's exactly what we are exploring today with my guest, Selena Soo, who is a publicity expert, a connector, and author of the book Rich Relationships. Selena is a master at showing you how to build meaningful, expansive relationships that create quantum leaps in your business without burnout, without being transactional, and without needing a massive audience. I have read her book and got so many ideas. I'm already a connector. I already have lots of relationships, and I'm sure you do too. And yet I took so many notes. And in today's episode, we will talk about what makes a relationship rich and how to know who belongs in your inner circle, how to leverage connection as a strategy for growth, even if you are an introvert, because Selena is an introvert, and in some ways I am too. We're going to talk about the power of gatherings and why they are more effective than 100 emails, how breathtaking generosity makes you unforgettable, and the exact framework Selena uses to stay in integrity while managing hundreds of high quality relationships. Whether you are craving a deeper community, more aligned visibility, or a new way to grow that doesn't feel like pushing, I believe that this conversation will open something big for you. I hope you love it. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am delighted to introduce you to Selena Soo, who I've just been put in contact with through a rich relationship. And we spoke, and I just really enjoyed meeting you. And I really think you're leveraging something super interesting, which is this thought of connecting people and these rich relationships. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here on the Fabienne Show.
Thank you. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Tell me about what got you to where you are now teaching and helping people with rich relationships. I read in your book, which is
Mm.
a book of the same name, that your parents were really accustomed to having people always around them and to really nurture these relationships. Is that what got you started?
Yeah, that was definitely a part of it. So I grew up in Hong Kong, and I would say that in Chinese culture, people aren't super emotive. You're not going to get a lot of words of affirmation from your parents, but one way that people show love is by bringing people together around food.
Mm.
And so I grew up with, around a lot of Chinese dinner parties and feasts where my father would bring people together and really pour into them through, incredible food and conversation. And so later in life, when I was living in New York City and, I started my business, I was hosting a lot of these parties to bring people together.
I look at all the places that I've lived and the fact that everywhere that I moved, I had to start all over again with my friendships and
Yeah,
my connections. And it was the same thing for me. It was like, okay, let's host, let's throw a dinner party, let's throw a cocktail party, let's gather
100%.
people for a picnic. And that has been one of the biggest things that I could do. And it ended up being what Bold Heart is a connection, a watering hole
Mhm.
for unicorns, as someone once said to me. And it's through that innate knowledge, intuitive knowledge of bringing people together. Tell us about how you help women use that concept of gathering and connection to
Mhm.
help them grow their business. Tell us.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to define what a rich relationship is, and then how do we gather our rich relationships together. And so rich relationships are relationships that have an energy of abundance to them. They
Mm,
feel expansive. They are also relationships that can grow your business. They're connected to your goals and dreams. And last but not least, they're with people who inspire you. And so if there's someone who's powerful and influential, but they don't feel safe, if it feels like it's a relationship full of drama or chaos, that's not what I would put in the category of a rich relationship.
Yeah.
And so there's many different types of rich relationships that, women entrepreneurs can cultivate. And in the book, I talk about 10 different types. Just to share a few of them, that would include a mentor who helps you, shortcut from where you are to where you want to be. It includes peers who are on the journey with you and can understand what you're going through and support you. It includes trusted confidants. That could also be a mentor again, or it could be a therapist or some kind of other counselor or advisor. Other rich relationships that are important include promoters, people that really believe in our work and then give us a platform, whether it's sharing it on their podcast or social media or some kind of other platform or stage opportunity. There's also gatekeepers. In some cases, we might even need investors for our business that fund it through money. And so, I just really believe that no matter what your goal is, I know that a rich relationship can help you get there faster. And whatever problem you have, you don't even need to know how to solve the problem, but you need to know who is a person that can help me figure this out. And so what happens, a group of 6 and 7 figure women, you've been in business, you are established, you have your rich relationships, you're part of communities, you have clients, right? These are all different rich relationships you have. But the place where people get really stuck is, well, how do I manage these rich relationships? Because over my decades of life, I actually have multiple thousands of rich relationships. And so I get very overwhelmed. And so one of the most powerful things to do is to gather people together, because when you gather people together, you're seen as a leader, you're taking initiative, you're creating an incredible experience for people. And you're not just nurturing one rich relationship at a time as you would through a conversation, which I think can be great initially, but to maintain all those relationships, you want to do that in ways that are leveraged, but also really meaningful and high touch. So an event can do that. And so you want to think about like what suits my personality and lifestyle. If you're someone that's very athletic, maybe you organize a Saturday entrepreneurs hike once a month. Or maybe you are someone that loves reading books and you take the initiative to gather people around to read the latest book. Maybe it's a movie night, or maybe you're a foodie and you want to go to a different restaurant every month. And, you always book a table of 6 people and, see who is available. When I moved to Dubai, so I'm currently in transition. I was living in Puerto Rico, in Austin. Now I'm going to be moving to Dubai. I found this apartment building that I love. And it's actually right next door to this really cute, like kind of breakfast place. And I noticed they have a little room in the back and it's complimentary to use that room. And, you can seat like 8 people at a table. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do like for the first 4 months, like 3 Saturdays, I'm going to do a rich relationships brunch and I'm going to invite people to have books for people and curated conversation. And everyone can just kind of order their own meal. There are certain events where like I cover the cost for everyone. So it just like kind of depends. I do find that when you're doing gatherings, it's good to have some kind of like consistent element to it, whether it's like, oh, the first Thursday of every month, we have a virtual gathering, or, every Sunday we do this, we go on a hike, just so that it's easy for people. Because when you spend the energy to ask someone like, hey, could you come to this particular event? And they're like, oh, I would love to, but I'm not free on that date. It's so great to be like, oh, well, I've got 2 others coming up on these dates. Can you come to either? And they say, oh, yes. And then you like lock them into the calendar. And yeah, people just love being able to reconnect with you, but also build those new relationships and have a special experience.
I think back to how I've done this both personally and professionally. So when I moved to France
Yeah.
9 years ago, the first couple years were like, okay, let's get the kids into their schools. Let's
Yes.
figure out how to do the team, fly back to the States 5 weeks a year. Like I was really focused. And then I woke up, if you will, after a couple of years. And I was like, I don't have that many friends here. And I
Yeah.
really wanted to deepen my friendships. And so I decided to create a salon, as they used to do in whatever the 17th century. And I just invited women to come to my apartment, women I knew, but
Yeah.
also I asked them each to bring one person I didn't know, but somebody I should know.
Yes.
And
So
we ended up being in my living room. There was like 20 of us, and I had made nibbles and there was champagne. and I had a topic, and I'm telling you, it was incredible. After 3.5, 4 hours, everybody was talking in little groups and mingling. And I created a WhatsApp group, and everyone just kept
Mm.
connecting, and we grew that. But I also think back about how, for some people, scaling their business is all about relationships. There are some who do video and
Sure.
speaking, and some who write, and some who get referrals. But there are others who leverage the connectors in their life. And
Mhm.
I think about Judy, who we got to 1 million in her business at the age of 70. How
Oh
awesome
my
is
gosh, so
that?
inspiring.
So,
Yeah.
and she just actually sold her business about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And, for very good money, very good exit. And the thing that got her to 7 figures was to create these mastermind dinners, or kind of replicating what you're saying, once a month, or maybe it was once a quarter at first. She just paid for everybody to come and have cocktails. And she was this master networker. And that was the way that she got her business to 7 figures. And
Mm.
there's so much opportunity here. I think that a lot of us are focused on the next funnel, or the next book I'm going to write, or the next program I'm going to launch. But the rich relationship is not something that everybody seems to talk about, or they're just kind of waiting for the referrals to come as opposed to manufacturing them.
Yeah, so I think that the difference, because at the end of the day, everyone is trying to build relationships, whether it's through a funnel and there's content that's supposed to nurture them, or videos or ads. But a big part of relationships is depth and proximity, right?
Mm.
So the closer someone feels to you, whether it's in real life or it's virtual, and they feel very connected in conversation with you, the more that they feel like they have a stronger relationship. And the stronger the relationship, the more likely they are going to, do all the things, whether it is support you with your book launch, or invite you to their podcast, or sign up for your program, right? So at the end of the day, everything that we're doing in our business to engage with other people, we're actually hoping to strengthen a relationship. It's just that a lot of these ways are, they can feel very much like mass marketing. When you think about mass marketing, it's like, okay, well, how many ads am I seeing over the course of a month? How many social media posts, how many emails am I getting, right? It's, many dozens, if not hundreds, right? And so then if you're just putting yourself in the crowd of one amongst 100, but then it's like, well, how many dinner parties are they going to? How many, of these more intimate gatherings over the course of a month? And it might just be like 1, 2, or 3, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
put yourself in a completely different category. And I think what's cool about gatherings is, when people are looking to do business with you, whether to hire you or refer business to you and all of that, people don't want it to feel like it's just a transaction. They want to feel like there's a genuine, deep relationship. And I think that if you can spend time with people, whether it's in person or in a special format virtually, and it's not just all down to business, it's like getting to know each other. This is what's coming up in my life, and all of that. It creates that trust and intimacy that really furthers the relationship.
I'm really glad you brought this up, because I was with a large group of transformational leaders about
Yeah.
1 year ago, and I meet with them regularly. And we had this meeting, and a lot of people were saying, like, the industry is just so different than it was, 10, 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the concept was, yeah, like, it's not 2012 anymore, when you can just send an email and you
Oh my
get like
gosh.
2,500 people to join your teleclass. And then, you'll have a 30 or 40%
Right.
closing rate. That's just, I don't want to say, because I don't want to say that to the universe, but it doesn't work the same way that it used
Yeah.
to. If you think
Mhm.
about, that was like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
not that many people were online and
100%.
offering these things. And so, it just worked so well. And we were saying that it actually, people are so bombarded that they almost can't trust what's going on. Everybody and her sister is now on Instagram offering some sort of program. And so one of the things that I decided quite a while ago was to do these events. First, it was in person. I would go all around the country in the US when I lived there. And then I would do these half day events in London or Paris, or, whatever. And then I
Mm.
moved them online, and I'm still doing them. I did one like a week and a half ago. So delicious. But sometimes people say,
Mm.
why are you doing a 4-hour free event when you're not selling anything?
Ah, ooh. Mm.
And I'm basically using different words. It's
Yes.
about depth and connection because they can read my book, right? The
Yeah.
Leverage Business. They can listen, to videos online, but there is something to be said about having a regular event where you say, and like within one of the first 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm not selling anything. There is no offer, no pitch. This is an opportunity for you to get to know my methodology,
Mm.
get to know my heart,
Mm-hmm.
get to know my community, get to ask me anything. And
Mm.
the only thing is, if you want to then book a call with me to talk about my signature program, happy to do it. And while you're checking me out, I'm checking you out too to see if you would be great for my program. And speaking it up front and making it regular, like you're saying, just like a monthly thing or something. And then focusing more on the depth and the connection and the trust. That's when people book a call with you.
Yeah.
I
Well,
find
I'm
that
also,
very interesting.
yeah, no, I love what you're sharing. And I'm just such a huge fan of clear communication because that builds trust. If people feel like it's a bait and switch, they're like, oh, I don't know if I can trust myself, or I don't know if I can trust this person. Or I've had situations, it doesn't happen often, but over 13 years of business, I've had people be like, oh, I want to, I haven't heard from them in 3 years. Like, I want to catch up with you and get on the phone with you. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Like, what were you thinking? Because I just want to know like what the purpose is. And then, after a couple back and forth, it's like, oh, they want me to be an affiliate, but I'm not familiar with their business at all. And there's not space for that in my calendar anyways. And so I would have just preferred someone being more upfront. And also, I don't think that's not actually usually effective to, that's what I call activate. So there's build, nurture, activate, right? Build is like you've got the relationship, right? The initial relationship. Nurture is investing in the relationship, sharing your work, having them feel familiar, building the trust and so forth. And then after there's a foundation of trust, then you can activate. But when people go from build to activate too quickly from a scarcity mentality or like internal urgency, it makes people feel like this is a transactional relationship, and people don't want to be in transactional relationships. So, 'cause I built a very strong affiliate program with up to 200 partners in a single launch, but there was a lot of nurturing I did. So I used to run, I don't do this anymore, but a publicity program. And so some of my different nurture strategies would include, if I would get an opportunity on an amazing podcast, I would ask the host, are you looking for other guests? Who are your ideal guests? What is the profile? And then I would think about, a handful of people from my network, and I would make the introduction. At one point, I actually had a contact at Forbes that was really interested in, publishing like I think 4 or 6 articles a month about female entrepreneurs. And I was like, well, I'm happy to, send people your way. And I thought about also who were my dearest friends and colleagues I respected the most. And I'm like, okay, their work needs to be out there in a bigger way. And additionally, who are some people that could potentially make great affiliate or referral partners where I could give them a taste of, my work and really support them. And so I would connect them. I would just say, hey, I have this amazing contact. She is looking for female entrepreneurs. I thought you would be great. I'm happy to shoot an email over and recommend you. But if you're interested in this opportunity, let me know. And what I would love to also just a pure gift is give you a one-on-one call with my senior media coach, because she can help you pinpoint the best idea. And that will be the best way for me to present you to them. And so I did that with a lot of people just consistently. I just did that one move over and over again. And I got over 100 people in Forbes. And yes, I did have a separate service that was a PR agency retainer that was 4 months. And so that's obviously a lot more, but I was, giving an hour of my media coach's time. And then my media coach would spend another, maybe, I don't know, 15 or 30 minutes, writing things up so I can just forward it along. So it was super high value because obviously getting in Forbes has a real value for the business, but it only took 90 minutes of my team members' time and 1 minute of my time. And so I thought, you know what? And there's different ways to do it. You could say, oh, normally I charge 10,000, I'll give it to you for whatever. But I was just like, you know what? This is one area where I'm just going to invest in give and give and give. And then as people got wins and they used it for their ads and they built their audience and they used the logo on all their webinars, it just became kind of more natural where I would share with them, down the road, hey, I'm so glad that we, cheering them on with their win, but then also saying, I want to let you know that I actually have something coming up where I'm helping everyday entrepreneurs get media for your business. And I know that you had that experience, and it would be so amazing. Like, I'm curious if you are interested in getting involved. I'm not saying it so eloquently right now. It's usually a lot more eloquent, but just like putting it out there, but kind of like in a easy, low pressure way. Like, it's fine either way. But I'm like, if we did, you're an amazing case study, and I could see you getting a lot of people into the program. And then we had a very attractive affiliate structure and bonus structure. And so it doesn't really make sense to make big asks when you haven't built a solid foundation, right? So sometimes it might be offering a little bit of a service, or another time I did an event in Las Vegas and it was like a 1-day workshop that was totally free. I invited a lot of the most influential entrepreneurs I knew to come together, to meet with some of the media, to meet with me. And I did a training because I knew that my ideal affiliate isn't going to sit through a 12-module program, but they'll come to a day and they'll go to a party. And so, yeah, you have to do some work up front to invest. Like, you have to be what I call a rich giver and give big in order to open yourself up to receive as well.
Yeah, I think what I'm really appreciating about your way of positioning this is just to use the BNI model of Ivan Meisner as giver's gain, right?
Ooh, that's
Uh,
good. Yeah.
yeah, just like give first. It feels much less transactional, not like a tit for tat, but like, hey, I'm just going to invest in you. And I really like that extreme generosity. And I know you call it breathtaking
Breathtaking.
generosity. Tell us about breathtaking generosity as you see it.
Yeah, I'm so happy you brought this up because I think it's such an important concept. I think that every one of us has an opportunity to be breathtakingly generous to the people around us. And when we do that, people feel deeply seen and supported. It puts us in a completely different category. And while, yes, there's value in, consistently nurturing relationships, but 1 or 2 acts of breathtaking generosity and you're just like never forgotten. So there's 2 main ways I like to think about this. So there's 2 primary opportunities to be breathtakingly generous. One is to be that pain detective. So a pain detective is someone who is very attuned to the pain of the people that matter to them. And so if you're saying, well, Selena, Fabienne, I'm not a mind reader, how do I know if my rich relationships are in pain? I would say there's certain key moments to look out for. A lot of it is about timing. So one category is natural disasters. Most of us know people who have been affected by whether it's hurricanes, wildfires, floods, right? Maybe they had to evacuate. Maybe their home was destroyed. Maybe their closest friends or families were affected. So that is an opportunity to step up and show support. Relationships is a category. If someone's marriage is on the rocks, maybe they've got behavioral issues with their kids, maybe they're having struggles with their parents, right? These are really low moments for people where they could use support. And also around financial issues. If someone, maybe their launch didn't go well, or they're like, I think I have to completely reinvent my business now for this new time. And now they're having an identity crisis. I know for myself, when I decided to close down Impacting Millions, my media course, because it was the time to close it down, it was like, wow, like I was a multi-7-figure entrepreneur. I had all my affiliates. I had all my media connections. We all gathered around the things I did around that brand. And now that brand doesn't exist. And I don't have all of those external success markers. You have moments where you're like, am I still relevant? Do I still matter in the same way that I do? And so when people are going through financial change or identity change, that's just another moment where you can really show up and offer support. Being a pain detective. And the second is being a dream amplifier. So you might be like, well, I don't know what people's dreams are, but I think that especially if your audience is other entrepreneurial individuals or people that have personal brands, a lot of people are telling you what their dreams are. They're saying, I'm launching a book. I have a podcast. My signature program is coming up. I've got an event and doors are open for people. Or I'm raising money for a charity to support my sister that has this terminal illness or whatever it is. Like, if you pay attention, people are sharing. And also with people that you're in close proximity with in conversation, when there is that foundation of trust, like ask them like, hey, what's important to you right now? What are you working on? Right. So when you know the pain points, I mean, you also know the deep dreams and desires, right? How do you show up? How do you be the first to help, not the last to help, right? And so one of the ways to be the first to help is just simply be ready. One thing that I encourage people to consider is creating a generosity fund in their business. A lot of people, that maybe they give money to a church or a particular nonprofit. And that's, wonderful. Absolutely. And I believe in also setting aside funds and resources, right? It could also be energy. It could be services to support your richest relationships so that when you see that they have those very important life and business moments that you're ready to support them. A lot of times we don't support people, not because we don't want to, but we're busy. We see something in passing in social media and we're in an Uber on the way to our next appointment or whatever it is, right? And so for me, I really love books. And so whenever I see someone that I care about saying, I've got a book launch coming up, or I just signed a deal, I'll send them a little voice note and be like, hey, I'm so excited for your book. I just want you to know that you can count on me. Right. And so that can mean different things. Like for some people, I'm like, hey, if you want to book like a brainstorming call at some point, I'm happy to share with you. I have something, this is like a leverage move, like a 1 hour is a little longer than an hour, but approximately an hour training on how I hit the USA Today bestsellers list and like the behind the scenes, like my timeline, how many books I sold, the team, all of the action steps, my bonus packages, what they look like. And so I just give it to people complimentary. I'm like, hey, I know that you've got a book launch. I feel so grateful to have hit the USA Today list. If you would like, I can send you my training where I just walk through all the details step by step. And, if you want to book a call with me, I'm happy to just brainstorm. And I don't even say this, but just so that I'm not there to sell. I'm just there to support. Because for my richest relationships, for their number one most important moment, I'm going to create time like that,
Yeah.
And then there's different things I'll do, whether it's like I'm going to write the Amazon and Goodreads review for them, or maybe it's like I'm going to carve out time on my social media or email calendar. So that's just like one way. I have so many examples, but at least for now, I just want people to think about what are the moments. And when you show up in the right moment, what you do feels so breathtakingly generous and deeply appreciated.
I really like that you're opening up so many more ideas that I've ever thought of. And these are like strategy ideas. I don't know if you're a spiritual person. I
I'm
am.
so spiritual. Yeah.
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 So for me, everything I teach, everything I do is like the masculine, which is the practical and the pragmatic, and the
Okay.
feminine, which is the energetic and the spiritual. And so I love that these are ideas, but that we can pop into place, like absolutely implement. What I like also about it is that you're activating the law of circulation, the law of
Mm,
reciprocity, and
mm,
understanding when you understand that what you put out there in the world energetically, because everything is energy, comes back to you
it does.
and usually tenfold. So,
Mm,
what I really appreciate in reading your book, I'm almost done with it, and I thank you for shipping it to me.
yes.
And about this discussion is that this is about a way of being strategically, but also energetically. And
Yes.
because I teach, I've got like one great guy in my program, and the rest of them are all women. I teach a more feminine approach to scaling to seven figures and multiple seven
Mm,
figures. And this being like, how do you also do the energetics of it? And this law of circulation, that what you
mhm.
put out there is what comes back. And I'm sure you've read Persuasion,
Yes, I have. Yeah.
the psychology of
Yeah.
no,
Influence and
psychology.
persuasion and all of that.
It's a
Yeah.
lot about that law of circulation.
And I just want to actually add to that, if I may, Fabienne. There are some nuances I think your audience will really appreciate. So when we're talking about, creating that goodwill, it's not reciprocity in the tit for tat transactional reciprocity. In my book, I call it coming from a place of relaxed abundance, right? And so when you build rich relationships and when you're a rich giver, you're intentional. You're not running yourself ragged and putting yourself last and giving to a million people and forgetting about yourself. You are, as a rich giver, you're someone that is able to discern the energy of abundance, right? Because we're all equal as humans, but certain relationships have more richness to them. I can feel this person truly cares about me. This person inspires me. I believe in this person. I want to support them. There's so much synergy, right? So it's intentional relationships, and you pour from a place of relaxed abundance where I have so much to give my rich relationships, but it's abundance in that I'm not coming from a place of scarcity where I need to see some kind of result tomorrow, or I'm coming in with heavy expectations. I'm coming in with like love and service. And then, you pour into the right people. And when you pour into your network overall, if you are consistently kind and generous and show up in the moments that matter, your network will serve you back in the same way, right? Like, as you said, tenfold. It's not necessarily going to be from the same person, but you can expect that if you are consistently kind and generous, that same energy is going to come back around to you. So it's not the tit for tat reciprocity, but rather it's this idea of generosity and relaxed abundance that builds that goodwill and has like this boomerang effect of like the same things coming back to you or similar things in different ways.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the points that I share all the time is the person you give to is not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily going to be the person you receive from.
Mm.
And I remember a long time ago, this was literally like 20 years ago because my daughter was 2 and she's 22 now. And we used to give out these CDs. I mean, you told me like you knew about me a
Yes,
while back.
yeah. Oh my gosh, when I started, you were like, yeah, and you still are, but it was like you were well established as like the leader. And okay, so back then there were CDs. Okay,
Yeah, back.
I missed that piece, but yeah,
And we used to, it was called How to Attract All the Clients You Need. And I recorded these CDs and the orders
yeah.
would come in and I would have my daughter Claire help me put the address sticker. And we
Oh,
would
nice.
walk to our little mailbox in Stamford, Connecticut and put like 4 CDs a day. And then it became 12 CDs a day. And then it was like, we can't handle
Oh my God.
the
Yeah.
volume. And people are like, you're just give it like this costs thing, it's not free. You're shipping
Oh
physical
yeah.
CDs and all of that. And I was
Mm.
like, I just know every time I put that in the mailbox, I know that energetically speaking, it doesn't need to be the person who is actually receiving my CD, that the abundance is coming back my way. And if you just see it like that, it's like a circular motion, a boomerang motion. And I
Yeah, and
really
the other thing
appreciate
is,
that you're underlying that for us.
yeah, Fabienne, and even whatever the cost of the CD, like I'm just making up a number with shipping and everything. Maybe it's like, $10
Yeah,
or $15. But the thing is, if someone listens to that CD and there's like a shift in perspective, that could translate into multiple thousands, tens of thousands, or even
totally.
so much more. And so it's like, wow, like you are creating so much abundance rather than being like, okay, well, I really need to like conserve, but rather you're like, you know what, I have this abundance. I can absolutely set aside budget to just circulate all this abundance in the world. And I know that it's going to come back.
Yeah, I haven't thought about creating that generosity fund until I read about it in your book. And I just feel like, even energetically speaking, to go back to energy once more, it's that
Yes.
practical of having, okay, these funds, but it's also this energetic of like, who can I give this? Like this, who needs it? And then being ready to do it. And sometimes, like you say, like one of the things I've done, and I've actually never talked about it publicly, is sometimes when people, I say this with like a little tear in my eye, but
Mhm.
somebody says to me that's close in one of my close circles and says, "Oh, I've been diagnosed with some something." I'll
Mhm.
say, "Okay, if you're open to this, I will pay for treatment."
Wow.
And I have resources, I know people, and like I've never said it publicly, but that just made me feel so abundant. And seeing
Mm.
somebody go into remission and no longer have the health concern that was threatening their life, that I feel like nobody's ever going to forget that.
Nobody's going to forget that. Oh my goodness. It's kind of like I'm at a loss for words. Other people are listening to this and being like, well, I don't know if I have the funds to pay for someone's entire treatment. It doesn't have to be like that. It could be, I would love to do like meal delivery for the week
Yeah.
that
Or a
you're at
book.
the hospital, or book, or I'll come to the hospital and spend time with you, right? There's all these things. And when we think about the generosity fund, like something that you could, I'm just like thinking of ideas for people listening. Like, let's just say you had a $10,000 program, right? And you're thinking, I'm going to set aside 5% for the generosity fund. I don't have to use all of it up, but it's there, right? So for someone that spends 10,000 for me, I have $500 set aside. So maybe if they're like, I'm launching my book, it's like, we have $500 set aside to buy $500 worth of books. That's like
Yeah.
20 books to support them, and then also leave a review. Or they're really sick. It's like, you have that bouquet of flowers or that chicken noodle soup or whatever it is, but there's different ways to do it. But yeah, like there are certain moments where people will just never forget you. And what you just described is one of them.
Yeah. I never need to get anything back from that person. It just feels, like you say, abundant.
Yeah.
I have to be super transparent, is that, so I have a charismatic gregarious personality, and I love meeting new people. And I'm
Yes.
also a bit of a hermit, kind of
You're both.
yeah.
And
And I have gone into just like shutdown mode because I fear not having enough time, enough bandwidth, enough energy to support all of the relationships. And so before, I would just sometimes just try to shut out the world because it felt like I was giving too much. And I
mm,
really like your idea around the different circles of connection. That really
mm,
made sense to me. I first read about something like that in reading the book The Referral of a Lifetime by Tim Templeton.
oh, cool.
And he talks about A, B's, and C's, like not just to categorize people in your life in such a transactional way, but just as a way to realize, like, where do you want to put more of your time, effort, money, affection, all of that. And I really loved your 6 circles of connection. I love that you have like this spreadsheet. Are you willing to talk to us about it?
Well, I'm so happy you asked because it's actually my number one favorite framework in the book.
Okay, great.
So, yes, let's dive in. So, basically, for each of us, everyone that we ever meet or everyone who we're in relationship with in the world falls into one of these 6 circles. And I create these 6 circles as a way to help you manage your energy so that you don't burn out. So, let's start with circle one. So, circle one is your innermost circle. For most people, it's 1 to 3 people, could be a couple more, or in some cases, some people don't have, circle one rich relationships. But these are people who are doing life by you. They're by your side during your ups and downs. They're there day by day. If you were to ask a circle one relationship, like let's say someone has a life partner, it's a healthy partnership, like what's happening in Fabienne's world? They'll know the answer. Or like maybe someone's very, very best friend who they speak to often. Or maybe it could even be a longtime therapist that you've spoken to weekly for 7 years, right? But people that are truly on the pulse of what's going on and you feel safe to be completely open and you know that they're there for you. That's your circle one. Then you have circle two. So circle two are your treasured connections. This is half a dozen to 1 dozen relationships. So typically 6 to 12. So these could be close team members that you can count on and that are all in. This might be very close friends. This could be business besties. And so these are people similarly where you feel like even though they don't know what's happening day to day, they're pretty tuned in to what's happening in your world and you feel like you would be a priority to them. So if you texted them and you're like, I need to talk to you today, even if they were busy, but they see that text from you, they're like, I got to make time. I got to get back quickly to this person. That's how that's a circle two relationship. And then we move to circle three. So this is your active connection. So this is about like 100+ people. So multiple dozens of people. So your active relationships, there's 3 characteristics to them, right? So first is respect. These are people that you respect. If you don't respect them, they don't go into circle three. Right? These are people that you would feel comfortable recommending. You feel safe to put them in touch with your other rich relationships, whether it's from a friendship standpoint or they're a service provider and you know that they will take good care, they have integrity, and they do good work. And then the third R is responsive. So, circle three relationships, there are people that you can count on. Maybe you're not talking to them daily, weekly, monthly, but these are trusted contacts, right? So if you have to chase someone, you feel like you're sending like 4 messages or ghosting you, you're not hearing back, then that's actually not a circle three relationship. Circle threes, you invite them to the party, you connect them to other people, you have nice conversations, and there's a beautiful foundation of trust and respect. Those are your circle threes. And that's it's clients, it's friends, it's all the different types of rich relationships. Then we move into circle four. So there'll be a lot of people in circle four, multiple hundreds and even multiple thousands potentially. But these are distant connections. So there's a few different reasons why someone might be distant. So one is if you've met someone and it's only 1 meeting or maybe 2 meetings, as much as you like them, from 1 or 2 meetings, they haven't built the trust for them to be in close proximity, right? Because trust is earned over time. So just a very brand new relationship. Or sometimes people are in circle 4 when it's like, I know them and, I like having them in my circles and in my network, but I need to keep a little bit of distance. Maybe this person is so well-meaning, but they always drop the ball. Maybe they're not in high integrity. And you're like, I feel a little uncomfortable. Like I can still have them in the network, but, maybe a slight arm's length. Or another reason might be that, Fabienne, like you've been at points in your life and others have been where it's like, I'm just super maxed out and I don't have like the bandwidth to be in deeper, rich relationship. There's no more space in 1, 2, and 3. So then they stay in circle 4. Then you have 5. These are disconnected relationships. And so over decades of life, sometimes we do have people where we're like, this relationship is over. It could be someone that betrayed us in a very serious way where we do not feel safe being in their energy and in close proximity. It could also be someone that's never done anything to you, but you know that they're a dangerous person and you don't want to, invite them into your close circles to meet with your clients and friends and things like that. So you keep that distance and you can be very kind and cordial, but you're just not letting them in. Right. So
there's like a predatory energy to that for me somehow.
Yeah, there are absolutely those people out there. And so we have to be attuned to the energy of different people. Maybe they're for someone else, but they're not for us. So they go into circle 5. And then 6 is everyone else out in the world. So that's like 8 billion people that you haven't connected with yet. And so, you don't have to tell people I'm moving you from circle 2 to circle 4, or you're my circle 3. They don't have to know, but you know. And this is so powerful because I heard someone, her name's Sherry Salata, once say, maintaining a friendship not rooted in your truth keeps you out of integrity. So maintaining a friendship, or frankly, any relationship not rooted in your truth, keeps you out of integrity. And I heard this 4 years ago. And at the time I had shivers because I had multiple relationships not rooted in my truth, not because I was seeking those kind of relationships. Rather, when you meet someone, you don't know because things get revealed over time. And I had certain service providers. There was a photographer that I was working with, and then also actually someone who was a senior leader in sales on my team. And they were very good at their individual roles, the quality of their work, but they each had aspects about them that were emotionally volatile. And I felt uncomfortable in their presence. And the last thing you want as a CEO is to feel uncomfortable inside your own company. And yet I had created these situations. I had these deep emotional bonds with these people. And at the time, I was not good at distancing people. I felt like, okay, once I let you in, like that's where you are. And I felt guilty for creating space or even ending relationships that weren't serving me anymore. And so what's great is you might know, okay, I've been treating them as a circle 2, but I need to treat them as a circle 4. And so that just might be, don't keep inviting the person back in to photograph your events. It's like, okay, they were great and we're done there. Or if someone messages you, you don't have to respond instantly. Maybe give it a few days, or in some cases, maybe it's a week, and they just know, what, I'm not going to get like a quick response. I'm not, inner circle or whatever it is, right? Just like shift the energy so that you can protect yourself and also maintain integrity and feel safe. Because one reason why others and myself at one point felt unsafe with sometimes like putting myself out there is like, well, I don't know, like once I let someone in, I don't know how to get them out, and just feeling afraid. But when you can learn to trust yourself, like I know how to manage my energy, and I'm not a mind reader. I don't know how things are going to play out, but when I see something that's not right, I know how to create the appropriate boundaries. And in some cases have the appropriate conversations, and in other cases no conversation is necessary, but create that energetic distance for myself.
I think this is really important for us to hear as women, because those who listen to the show know that I'm always talking about how we women are raised, reared, socialized to put the needs of others before our own, and to people please. And there's a point at which you can meet. I'm a giver, you're a giver, right? I'm a connector, as are you. And sometimes there are people who are takers. And it just feels like they just show up again and again. And after a while, even though this isn't transactional, it just feels dirty. Like, ugh, So this whole idea of you don't owe anyone anything. This is one of the things I've talked about for years is I don't owe anybody to keep giving or to keep showing up if it doesn't feel good for me anymore. If it's not serving my needs, and if I don't want to play that game. And it's okay to set boundaries, and it's okay to just like backtrack just a little bit until the message gets shared.
Yeah, and related to that, I think sometimes people feel guilty, like, do I need to say something? And if it's someone who's a close friend and they've just made a mistake and, you want to give them the opportunity of doing right by you and giving them that insight, absolutely. But there's some people that don't, regardless of their age, they might not have the emotional maturity to receive feedback. And we don't have to feel responsible to be their coach and teacher and trainer. If we've said enough or whatever it is, or, they've done it enough times, it's like, yep, we can just move on and create that space.
I'd love to ask about how you organize this and how do you manage your time around this in terms of the 5 or 6 levels. Do you dedicate a certain amount of time per day, per week, per month, per year to the different levels? What does it look like in your world and how you teach people how to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, through the 6 circles, you can organize your contacts through that, but you want to create more focused lists of people, right? So we have our client list and maybe we have the list of people that get like the holiday cards or whatever, but we want to have our top 40 list for our rich relationship. So a rich relationship is someone that wants to help you reach your goals and dreams faster. There's that energy of synergy and abundance with that. So you have to first internally get clear, what are my biggest goals and dreams? Is it, I want to create more leverage of my business and more freedom? Okay, there's clarity there. Are my biggest goals and dreams, I'm moving to, a new continent. I'm moving to the Middle East. I'm going to Dubai and I want to really build a network there. Is it that I want to learn? I want to have a business where I spend half of the year, in Toronto and the other half in France or whatever it is, right? So get clear on your top 3 goals that are really meaningful to you. And then based on those top 3 goals, what are some rich relationships that can really support you so that you can pour into them, but then you're also investing in them and they feel, there is that energy that is created between the two of you. So the rich relationships will fall into the different categories. It could be a mentor, it could be a confidant, a peer, a connector, a referral partner, like all the things. And so you can have many rich relationships, but you do need to be clear on the 40. And the reason why I say 40 is it's a number that's manageable. If you're like, okay, these are my 5 rich relationships I'm focusing on for the year, that's way too narrow. And it's a lot of pressure on someone to be like, oh my gosh, I'm their rich relationship. I have to show. But rather it's like, no, over the course of 12 months, there's 40 relationships that I nurture more intentionally. Right. And so I recommend having a nurture appointment on your calendar at least once a month. For some people, you might want to do it more consistently, but a good standard practice is one time a month. It's a 1 hour appointment and you just look at your top 40 list and maybe you feel inspired. Let me go onto social media and see what they're up to. Let me send them a little voice note. Let me send them a little text message or whatever it is. Let me invite them to an event, right? So you want to have your different systems in place. So out of sight, out of mind. So spend an hour thinking and looking and reflecting on actions that you can take to nurture your rich relationships. And then maybe, whether you're doing like you've done in the past or, like a salon or now you have like those events, like you have different things plugged into your calendar. And those are things that you invite people to. So that's kind of like my top recommendations. I have a top 40 list. And the other thing that I'm doing, because I'm personally in a season of meeting a lot of new people, I'm moving to Dubai, I'm hosting a lot of events and so forth. So I have to do this. I'm going to add a tab to my spreadsheet that says new people.
Mm.
And I just like kind of note when I met someone new, I just like write their name in because for a brand new relationship, it needs a little bit of extra nurturing for it to be more solidified. So it's like, oh, met this amazing person at that dinner party. Maybe it's a month or 2 later, I'm like, I reach out again because I want to invite them to a walk and talk or whatever it is, or the next thing, or, oh, did you receive a copy of my book? If not, I would love to send a copy over to you. So the top 40 list. And then for people, if you're in a season of meeting a lot of brand new people, also have a tab for all the new people you're connecting with.
Yeah. What I appreciate it is that your list seems to be fluid, your top 40, right? It
Mhm.
could be like for a year based on your goals or your objectives, but it's almost like some people can get on and can come off and
Absolutely.
it's not like that austere, that strict.
Yeah. So when you're looking at it every month, you have time to make adjustments. So
Yeah.
maybe as you've gone to know someone, you're like, oh, I feel like we're really falling out of touch. And I think it's run its course. I'm going to add someone new onto my top 40 list. I would say you don't want to like create a new top 40 list every month because that's exhausting, but maybe there's like, a 5 to 15% like change and adjustment. You can totally do that each month if you'd like to.
I have really been awakened in talking to you and in reading your book, Rich Relationships, awakened to a deepening of what already came naturally to me, but I really appreciate the systemization of it. That when something comes to you naturally, you can also create some systems around it, some processes to get even better at it. And I just find your approach to be really wonderful. And I'm so glad that you could share it with us today.
Thank you.
I'd love for you to share two last things. One,
Yes.
perhaps a parting thought for us, and two, please share with us how our listeners can come and get a little closer to you through your book or anything else that you're offering.
Yes, absolutely. So the parting idea is actually the first sentence in my book, which is one rich relationship is more valuable than 100 casual connections. So one rich relationship. And so I think that a lot of people feel that overwhelm, understandably, with relationships. And so this book is not telling you, to make hundreds of new friends overnight, but it's really helping you discern which relationships have that energy of abundance and generosity and expansion and pouring into those specific relationships. And the book offers a lot of low time, but high impact ways to deepen those relationships. So I really wrote it for anyone, whether you're an extrovert, whether you're a super introvert like myself, whether you have time constraints because you're a single mom or you have aging parents or you have a lot in your life. I know the book can help you. And so people can go to richrelationshipsbook.com and they can get the first 4 chapters of the book for free. And they'll also get my rich relationship scripts as well, because to build rich relationships, you have to have a conversation, but people don't know what are the words that I use and how do I invite people to support me with my goals and dreams and make introductions and so forth. So I have all those free resources at richrelationshipsbook.com.
Yeah, fantastic. And I just recommend you all listening, just get the physical book and read the whole thing. I'm going to finish reading it. You would appreciate this, Selena. I've got my back cover. I've got lists of names that I hand wrote in there as I was
Oh my
reading
gosh,
it.
yes.
Just like, oh yeah, this person. Oh yes, this person. It's just really been a wonderful process to start deepening. And I thank you for that.
And another thing I'll add, Fabienne, is I think that this is a good book to read with a group of friends and talk to them about the ideas together. So I definitely encourage you to check out the book. It's available on Amazon, and you can also get a preview by at richrelationshipsbook.com. But also consider, getting a couple friends to read the book with you. I think that it will create even richer insights and conversation.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here with us and sharing your wisdom, and wonderful to have you. That conversation with Selena just opened up so much, didn't it? If you're anything like me or like many of the women that I get to mentor, you are probably already thinking, okay, this makes sense. This feels aligned. It feels like it could be really good for my business. But how does this fit into the whole picture of how I grow my business without burning out? And that's the thing I want to talk about now. When you hear a new idea or a strategy like building rich relationships to fuel your visibility or your credibility, your next level expansion, it's really easy to get inspired. But without a roadmap, it can feel overwhelming to figure out how to integrate it into your already full life and business. And that's where I come in. If today's episode stirred something in you, if you are realizing it's time to stop doing everything yourself and time to stop white knuckling your growth and finally scale in a more feminine, supported way, I invite you to book a free Get Acquainted call with me. This is an opportunity to have a real conversation together. Maybe you've just heard me on this podcast or you've read the book, The Leverage Business, but you've never been with me. Well, this is an opportunity for it to be just the two of us and for me to listen deeply to what's going on in your business and what you dream of instead. And together, on a Zoom, I will help you map out what it would take to scale your unique business. This is not a cookie cutter thing. This is me looking at the answers to the questions I will have sent you beforehand, taking some time to really get the lay of the land of your business, and then create a roadmap for you to take your business to 10x. And I will give you that roadmap so that you can see the steps to getting your business to seven figures and beyond. And on that same call, if it feels aligned and you have some questions for me, I can tell you more about what I do and you can explore what it would look like to work together if you ever wanted to do that. But more than anything, you will leave our call with clarity and with direction and practical next steps that feel doable and actually energizing. So, if something in you is whispering, yes, that sounds good, Fabienne, then go to boldheart.com and apply to have a get acquainted call with me. There, you'll see a video on that page. It explained how it works. And the link is also in the show notes. And all you have to do is just apply for it. And let's see if we can map out something really exciting for your business. This is what I do, and I hope you love it. I would be honored to connect with you. Until next time, I am sending you so much love. See you then.